Her predictions were actually very accurate.
A huge wave will cover a big coast, covered with people and towns, and everything will disappear beneath the water.
Baba Vanga was a blind Bulgarian mystic, healer, and alleged psychic who predicted much of the chaos we've already experienced across the globe to date. In fact, it seems some of her predictions for 2025 have been eerily spot on too. Before passing away in 1996, Mrs. Vanga left behind many prophecies lasting until the year 5079. Among these, she made several prophecies about the world in 2025. Recently, one of her predictions is said to have come true. There have been various reports of her alleged predictions of devastating earthquakes and a major war in Europe this year. And with the fatal 7.7 magnitude earthquake that just rattled Myanmar, as well as some other shattering quakes across the globe, it seems her fortune-telling might not be so far off. A few of the many predictions attributed to Vanga include 911, Princess Diana's passing, and the Chernobyl disaster. As a result, many people believe 2025 might bring more widespread disasters, as Vanga had previously labeled it as the beginning of the end. She said the downfall of humanity will start this very year, with the world finally ending in 5079. Natural disasters. During her lifetime, the blind Bulgarian prophet Baba Vanga made many predictions about the future of humanity. Recently, one of her predictions is said to have come true. According to Vanga's prediction, the world in 2025 will suffer a series of terrible natural disasters, such as the awakening of dormant volcanoes, severe floods, major earthquakes. Vanga predicted that these tragedies would not only cause human losses, but also force large numbers of people to evacuate. On March 28, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake in Myanmar shook many countries. The earthquake killed nearly 3,000 people, injured thousands more, and left hundreds missing. Many homes, roads, and vital infrastructure were damaged or even completely destroyed. The earthquake in war-ravaged Myanmar fits Baba Vanga's prediction about global destruction. Mentioning natural disasters, Prophet Vanga also predicted that in 2025, Europe will witness a devastating conflict, considered the starting point of major upheavals and a significant decline in the continent's population. Geopolitical tensions. Baba Vanga predicted a major conflict in Europe in 2025. Her vision suggested widespread political instability, escalating tensions between nations, emphasizing potential territorial disputes, civil unrest, refugee crises, and the destabilization of economies. Analysts believe such predictions highlight growing global concerns about emerging conflicts, security risks, and potential humanitarian crises. She foresaw shifts in global power dynamics that could reshape international relations and influence the balance of power. Emerging powers could rise to prominence once dominant nations see their influence wane. These changes will impact global trade, economic policies, and diplomatic relations. Countries must navigate these shifts carefully to maintain stability and foster cooperation. Baba Vanga's prophecies suggest that some nations may form new alliances, while others could experience internal strife and political upheaval. The predicted geopolitical changes may also affect global security. Shifting power dynamics could increase the risk of conflicts and tensions. Nations must prioritize diplomacy and conflict resolution to avoid escalation and promote peace. In addition to power shifts, Baba Vanga predicted changes in global leadership. New leaders may emerge with different visions and policies, influencing the direction of their countries and the world. These leaders could be crucial in addressing global challenges, such as climate change, economic inequality, and social justice. Baba Vanga's predictions for geopolitical changes in 2025 highlight the need for adaptability and resilience. As the world evolves, nations must work together to navigate these changes and create a more stable and prosperous future. UFO appearance. She predicted that 2025 could finally be the year that aliens make themselves known on Earth, and given that military personnel were left scared by a recent UFO appearance, she might not be far off with that one. Human telepathy. The blind Bulgarian also suggested that human telepathy might soon exist, which might sound cool but would probably be very scary in reality, and also that lab-grown organs would soon be a common sight. Scientists have made lots of breakthroughs on that one recently, and frankly, that would be a great thing for the human race. World War III. If aliens or human telepathy weren't scary enough already, Baba Vanga reckons that this is the year we might see a third world war break out. Although war in Europe has been raging on ever since Russia invaded Ukraine, Vanga prophesied that a war could see the West destroyed. Some reported her words that, in the spring, a war in the East will begin, and there will be a third world war, a war in the East that will destroy the West. Somehow, people believed she even claimed that Putin would become Lord of the world, which would in turn make Europe a wasteland, adding, Russia will not only survive, it will dominate the world. Global financial turmoil. In addition to wars and natural disasters, Vanga anticipated a worldwide economic disaster in 2025. According to her forecasts, this could lead to significant financial instability, social disruption, and global shifts in political power. These predictions fuel ongoing debates about the interconnectedness of natural and human-induced crises. She predicted a financial collapse that would disrupt the global economy and plunge millions into poverty. This crisis is expected to manifest as hyperinflation in Latin American countries, particularly Argentina, and cause employment and stability issues in developed economies worldwide. Baba Vanga also warned of increasing inequality and the impact of poverty on different societies, which could spark social unrest and protests demanding change. The weird bird virus. For 2025, Vanga warned us the strange virus will attack human life so bad. Birds have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, such as avian flu, which can be transmitted to humans. It is possible that a new virus could emerge that would have a significant impact on bird populations. The potential consequences of such an event would depend on the severity of the virus and the ability of humans to contain its spread. A dangerous virus affecting bird populations could potentially have significant ecological and economic consequences. It could disrupt food supplies, as well as impact other animal populations that rely on birds for food or pollination. Additionally, it could potentially lead to the spread of the virus to humans, which could have significant health consequences. Bird populations have been affected by numerous viruses in the past, and the potential for future outbreaks is always a concern. However, the identification and monitoring of potential bird viruses is an active area of research, and scientists are working to develop new vaccines and other preventative measures to protect both birds and humans. Environmental meltdown. Although Baba Vanga left no formal writings, her words have been passed down orally, and she is now credited with several predictions for 2025 that point to profound global changes. Baba Vanga is also known for her visions of natural disasters that would affect the planet's climate and living conditions. She reportedly predicted that extreme weather events, including intense heat waves in Europe and desertification in parts of South America and Asia, would mark 2025. These interpretations align with modern concerns about climate change, which forecasts drought conditions and extreme heat in certain regions. Baba Vanga is also said to have predicted a wave of water that would cover vast areas in Asia, possibly referring to a tsunami or major flood. The possibility of such an event occurring in places like Bangladesh or Southeast Asia remains a critical concern today due to the risk of flooding in vulnerable areas. She also warned us that the Earth will still have to deal with issues like melting ice caps, increasing sea levels, and depleting resources. Regarding the prediction that a nuclear disaster will soon occur, she said that its consequences are extremely far-reaching, affecting global politics, the environment, and all humanity. This event has the potential to destabilize international relations, spark conflict, and lead to changes in the global balance of power. The severity of this prediction has sparked countless speculations. However, Critics argue that oracles can still be influenced by social and cultural contexts, and interpretations of prophecies can vary widely. One aspect that needs to be considered is the possibility that Baba Vanga's prediction has a symbolic or metaphorical meaning. Prophecies are often based on symbolism, and interpreting them literally can lead to misunderstandings. What is needed is to interpret the predictions with an open mind, as well as consider alternative interpretations to fully grasp their message. AI dominance. Long before artificial intelligence became a buzzword, Baba Vanga allegedly warned of a time when machines would think like humans but without souls. In her visions, she described intricate, intelligent devices that eerily resembled today's smartphones, digital assistants, and global networks powered by AI. She spoke of voices in the air, guiding people's actions, and screens that speak, referring to them as both miraculous and dangerous. But it doesn't end there. She foresaw a new era of digital currency that would not just change how we buy and sell, but how nations are controlled. Her prediction of a coin of light, without metal, governing from shadows, has been interpreted by many as a direct reference to cryptocurrencies and the growing push for centralized digital banking. More disturbingly, Baba Vanga issued dire warnings about the intersection of AI and genetic engineering. She spoke of a time when man will play creator, blending flesh and code, and something else will awaken. Her words pointed toward a future where technology would not just assist humanity, but reshape it, entirely threatening the very essence of what it means to be human. According to newly unearthed interpretations, she even named late July 2025 as a tipping point, a moment when the convergence of AI, data surveillance, and bioengineering would reach critical mass. It would be a point of no return. And then comes one of her most chilling declarations. Prepare yourselves. The moment is almost upon you. The storm approaches. By late July, the sky will darken, and the world will tremble. Was she speaking metaphorically or foreseeing a real, global event tied to technological collapse or rebellion? Some experts believe her timeline aligns with major global efforts to deploy fully autonomous AI systems, military, financial, and even medical. The sleeping pandemic. If you think the COVID-19 pandemic marked the peak of humanity's fear, then what Vanga predicted could very well lead us to a fear no less profound. Baba Vanga's prediction of a sleep pandemic is one of her most unsettling warnings. She described a mysterious illness that could sweep across the world, causing people to fall into a sudden, unexplained sleep. One of the strangest prophecies for 2025 is the emergence of a new pandemic caused by lack of sleep. A strange virus that triggers an outbreak of extreme fatigue never seen before is spreading worldwide in 2025. This pandemic is unprecedented in its scale, leading to a future where insomnia is a debilitating disease affecting everyone, causing conflicts and social unrest. People will feel an irresistible need to sleep and will be unable to do anything for extended periods. As a result, people will find it harder to work, go to school, and live their normal lives. There are many possible causes of this sleep pandemic in 2025. One is the increasing use of technology, especially smartphones and social media, which disrupts the natural sleep cycle and exposes people to blue light and radiation. Another is the rising level of stress and anxiety caused by the chaotic and uncertain world situation, which prevents people from relaxing and falling asleep. A third factor is the declining quality of the environment, especially air and water, which affects people's health and well-being and disrupts their sleep. These causes have persisted and worsened in recent years. Although many experts and organizations have warned and advised people to care for their sleep hygiene and health, they have recommended following simple tips, such as avoiding caffeine and alcohol before bed, setting a regular sleep schedule, creating a comfortable and dark sleeping environment, and practicing relaxation techniques like meditation or yoga. Whatever the truth is, Baba Vanga's words leave us with chilling questions. Human birth. at laboratories. Baba Vanga is believed to have predicted that for 2025, human babies will be born in laboratories, where the color of their skin to their character can be decided. This means that the entire process of birth will be controlled. The rise of technology, according to Vanga, advancements in reproductive technology, have already made it possible for some couples to conceive through in vitro fertilization, IVF, and other assisted reproductive technologies. However, the idea of human reproduction becoming entirely artificial raises a number of ethical questions, such as whether it is right to create human life in a laboratory setting. Additionally, it is unclear what impact this could have on the population as a whole, and what unintended consequences could arise from such technology. Human reproduction becoming entirely artificial could have significant consequences for our population and society. It could potentially lead to a decrease in genetic diversity and a greater reliance on technology to create new life. It could also raise significant ethical questions about the creation and ownership of life, as well as the role of government and society in regulating and controlling such technology. The development of artificial reproductive technologies is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have successfully grown mouse embryos in an artificial womb, and human embryos have been successfully grown in vitro. While there are still many technical and ethical challenges to be addressed, these advancements suggest that the development of entirely artificial human reproduction is not outside the realm of possibility. The development of artificial body parts and prosthetics is an active area of research, and significant advancements have already been made in this field. For example, scientists have developed brain-controlled prosthetic arms, and some artificial organs, such as hearts, are already in use. While the development of entirely artificial bodies and organs is still a long way off, these advancements suggest that the potential for such technology is not out of the question. A silent separation. Among all of Baba Vanga's chilling prophecies, one stands out not for its dramatic events, but for its eerie subtlety. She didn't only warn of wars, disasters, or political upheaval. She spoke of a quiet, intimate, and deeply personal event, a spiritual separation that would quietly unravel the fabric of human relationships and existence itself. Baba Vanga foretold a time when love alone would no longer be enough to keep people together. She said, "A time will come when love will not be enough to hold people together. Each soul will walk its own path and some will vanish." This silent separation is not a physical rupture but a profound spiritual divide, growing in the hearts of people, tearing apart families, friendships, and communities in ways that many cannot fully comprehend or explain. In today's world, we can already see signs of this prophecy unfolding. Families live under the same roof but emotionally drift apart. Parents find themselves unable to reach their children, siblings stop communicating, and spouses live as strangers despite sharing a life. Baba Vanga's warning that the home will be full of voices but hearts will be empty. The bloodline will no longer bind, echoes in this growing emotional isolation. The ties that once seemed unbreakable are unraveling, not through anger or conflict, but through apathy, misunderstanding, and a growing spiritual disconnect. This subtle breakdown extends beyond families to friendships and social bonds, where ideological differences and fear of the unknown push people apart. Baba Vanga described this process as a sorting of souls, saying, "There will be a sorting, not by hand, but by heart." This means that people who once shared laughter and memories can find themselves on separate spiritual paths, their connection dissolving because their hearts no longer resonate in harmony. This spiritual schism is not limited to individuals but is spreading on a global scale. While the world's attention is often consumed by political conflicts, natural disasters, and economic crises, Baba Vanga's vision points to a more insidious dividia, cosmic sorting of humanity between those awakening to higher truths and those remaining asleep in darkness. She spoke of one table, two realities, One bed, two dreams. One world, two paths. This invisible line will cut through nations, cities, and even families, creating a division not based on geography or ethnicity, but on spiritual choice. The separation she described will distinguish those who embrace growth, love, and consciousness from those trapped in fear, denial, and stagnation. It is a division of the soul, the most fundamental divide possible, which many will fail to notice until it has already deeply taken root. The emotional cost of this awakening is immense. Many who begin to perceive this divide experience profound loneliness and alienation. As Baba Vanga warned, those who see the truth will feel alone. But the silence is not punishment, it is protection. This loneliness is a necessary stage for spiritual growth, a sign that one's soul is stepping away from the old systems of thought and belief that no longer serve its evolution. It is a silent call to prepare for the coming transformation. Those who remain stagnant in their spiritual journey, those who refuse to evolve, may find themselves cut off not only from others but from existence itself. The separation is a cleansing process, setting apart the awakened souls for what lies ahead. Ultimately, Baba Vanga believed that this silent separation was a necessary precursor to a greater divine reckoning. The souls of light must be set apart from those who walk the path of darkness. However, this separation will not be marked by dramatic signs or loud announcements. It will occur softly, quietly, in the background, until the moment when the choice can no longer be reversed. As she put it, in the end, each heart will choose its master. That choice will echo in eternity. This is a profound reminder that the choices we make every day, whether to embrace truth or fear, love or indifference, determine which side of this invisible divide we will find ourselves on. In this moment of growing spiritual separation, it's vital to ask yourself, where do you stand? Have you felt the subtle pull away from old beliefs and relationships? Have you noticed the increasing tension, the emotional distance, or the sense that you no longer belong in familiar places? These feelings are not accidental, but are signs that your soul is being called to awaken, to walk a higher path. Baba Vanga's prophecy is clear. This silent separation has already begun, and the coming years will deepen this divide. The question is not if it will happen, but whether you will be among those who vanish into the shadows of spiritual inertia or among those who walk courageously toward the light of transformation. Apocalypse. Apparently, the latest predictions have raised concern among her followers and the public, as they predict that the apocalypse will begin in 2025. The apocalypse is anticipated to begin in 2025, despite the fact that humanity will not be completely eradicated until 5079, as stated in the timeline of her predictions. Besides, Baba Vanga went on to state that a conflict in Europe would devastate the continent's population by 2025. The prophecy is worrying the people, particularly in light of the ongoing conflicts and tensions in geopolitics. Following Vanga, this is the timeline to the end of humanity. In 2025, the inciting incident that kicks off the ultimate end of humanity will be an unspecified conflict in Europe, which will devastate the continent's population. Then, when we come to 2028, humanity needs more energy. To do this, they will manage to explore Venus to find new energy sources. This may be one of the most unbelievable parts of this timeline, since Venus is essentially an inhospitable hellscape with an atmosphere so acidic that nothing could survive, and no space probe has ever managed to survive more than a couple of hours. In 2033, climate change is very dangerous, and that shouldn't be understated. However, Baba Vanga supposedly predicted that at this point, the polar ice caps would melt and sea levels would rise drastically worldwide. Ever see the old episode of The Simpsons where Russia flips a switch and the Soviet Union suddenly out of nowhere reforms, the Berlin Wall shoots back up out of the ground, and a zombie Vladimir Lenin smashes out of his crypt groaning about crushing capitalism? Well, it may not be like this exactly, But Baba Vanga's alleged prediction claims that at this point in 2076, communism will not just be back but will take over the entire world. In 2130, skipping ahead to the next century, humanity will, at this point, supposedly make contact with aliens. What could go wrong? Climate change in 2170 is going to get worse, and at this point, a drought is supposedly going to spread across the world. In 3005, perhaps it's due to human colonization, or perhaps it's aliens. Regardless, at this point, there will supposedly already have been some kind of civilization on Mars, and they will fight a war with Earth. In 3797, at this point, due to any number of reasons, the Earth will supposedly no longer be able to support life. Humans will allegedly leave their homeworld at this point and move on to parts unknown. This is it. The end gonna happen in 5079. The grand finale. And, of course, with as vague of a prediction as this is, if this was even a real prediction at all, we know nothing about it. All we know is that the world will end. Yes, the world will supposedly already be uninhabitable by this point, so what this refers to is honestly anyone's guess. Does it go out with a bang or with a whimper? Is there a great epic battle or a rather anticlimactic incident? Keep in mind that this is all patently ridiculous. Yes, Baba Vanga was a real person, and yes, she has amassed quite a following and legend around her. However, since no one wrote down her predictions, no one knows if any prediction attributed to her these days is genuine. And even if it was, no one knows if the prediction would be true. But we need to take note of this. Although there are many prophets who make predictions about the end of the world, in reality, God has said that no one knows the day or hour of his coming, but God. This prediction of the blind prophet reminds us of a verse from Bible of Mark 13:7-8. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places and famines. These are the beginning of birth pains. Doubtless, somewhere people will again start to use such disasters as signs that we are living in the last days. Or, to put it more accurately, since the New Testament consistently insists the last days began with Christ's first coming, they will insist that we are living in the last days of the last days. Wars and rumors of wars should not alarm God's people. The end is still to come. Earthquakes and famines are merely the beginning of birth pangs. In other words, just as labor pains remind a pregnant mother that there is a baby inside her that the body wants to bring into the world, so do these various earthly disasters remind believers that Christ will return, ending human history as we now know it. But my, how unreliable those labor pains can be, sometimes coming months ahead of the actual due date, sometimes weeks in advance. They remind us that we are getting closer to the climactic day, but we knew that already just because of the passing of time. Vanga also said that in 2025, Earth could encounter a different path around the sun. This is a highly interesting prediction and one that could have far-reaching effects on our lives. Mark 13:32-33 says, "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, be alert. You do not know when that time will come." When the Lord tells us, no one knows the day or the hour, he is referring to the truth that nobody knows when his second coming will be. Many individuals throughout time have tried to predict the second coming of Christ, yet there is no way a person can predict the Lord's second coming. The second coming of Christ is often confused with the rapture of the church. Many scholars blend these two events of eschatology to be the same event. However, the second coming of Christ and the rapture are two distinct events. The rapture will occur before the second coming of Christ, because the second coming will not occur until the end of the 7-year tribulation. None of us can predict the time when all of these future events will take place. The rapture is the catalyst for the rest of the events of eschatology, as believers will be taken up to be with the Lord prior to the 7-year tribulation. After the 7-year tribulation will be the second coming of Christ. During this time, Christ will return to fight in the battle of Armageddon. You can read Revelation 19:11-16 for more. In the battle of Armageddon, the Lord will defeat the Antichrist and the false prophet. Jesus will rule victorious over evil and destroy all those who went against him. The second coming will be drastically different from his first coming. The Lord has already given us the opportunity to place faith in him through the knowledge of the gospel, yet at his second coming, he will bring the full promises of our salvation to fruition. After the end of the 7-year tribulation, Jesus will reign as king for 1,000 years, and then he will establish the new heaven and new earth. When God establishes the new heaven and new earth, the world will be exactly as God first intended it to be in the Garden of Eden. No longer will there be any death, pain, or sadness. Instead, there will only be happiness, joy, and life. The second coming of Christ is something we should all look forward to, as it will be a major event in eschatology. If you are presently already a believer, you can be confident in the knowledge that you will return with Christ at his second coming and help fight in the battle of Armageddon. All believers who have died or been taken up in the rapture prior to the 7-year tribulation will return to Christ to fight in the battle of Armageddon. While this may be frightening, we can trust in the Lord and in his future plans. Every year, Earth passes the sun around 584 million miles. This journey is an epic elliptical one, as it is shaped like an oval instead of a circle. The exact shape of the oval is determined by the forces of other planets. Although Earth's orbit can change due to these forces, these changes only happen in a cyclical manner. Even subtle changes can have severe implications on the Earth. It could cause extreme radiation levels and soaring temperatures to affect our planet. It's also possible that the orbital shift suggested by Baba Vanga could be caused by an impact from an asteroid. Is this a sign to the end? Let's wait and see. Decades after her death, Baba Vanga's prophecies continue to captivate. Her visions of natural disasters, extraterrestrial contact, and societal evolution resonate with global audiences seeking insight into future uncertainties, technological advancements, and geopolitical shifts. Whether interpreted as mystical foresight, symbolic warnings, or coincidental predictions, her enduring legacy underscores humanity's fascination with the unknown, the perennial quest to understand what lies ahead, and the timeless desire to prepare for challenges yet to come.